جعلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني، وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي، وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم، والشاهد لما خفي عنهم، وبرحمتك أخفيت، وبفضلك سترت، وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلت، أو إحسان فضلت، أو بر نشرت، أو رزق بسطت، أو ذنب تغفر، أو خطأ تستر. يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي، يا من بيده ناصيتي، يا عليما بضري ومسكنتي، يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي. يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، أسألك بحقك وقدسك وأعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي من الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورا، وبخدمتك موصولا، وأعمالي عندك مقبولا، حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا، وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا. يا سيدي، يا من عليه معولي، يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، قوي على خدمتك جوارحي، واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي، وهب لي الجد في خشيتك، والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك، حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين، وأسرع إليك في البارزين، وأشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين، وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين، وأخافك مخافة الموقنين، وأجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين. اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فأرد، ومن كادني فكد، واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك، وأقربهم منزلة منك، وأخصهم زلفة لديك، فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك. وجد لي بجودك، واعطف علي بمجدك، واحفظني برحمتك، واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا، وقلبي بحبك متيما، ومن علي بحسن إجابتك، واقلني عثرتي، واغفر زلتي، فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك، وأمرتهم بدعائك، وضمنت لهم الإجابة. فإليك يا ربي نصبت وجهي، وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي، فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي، وبلغني مناي، ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي، واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي. يا سريع الرضا، اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء، فإنك فعال لما تشاء. يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته غنى، ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلاحه البكاء. يا سابغ النعم يا دافع النقام، يا نور المستوحشين في الظلام، يا عالما لا يعلم، صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بي ما أنت أهله، وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وصل على
إن شاء الله. Thank you very much. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا فلعلك باخع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا إذ آوى الفتية إلى الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا فضربنا على آذانهم في الكهف سنين عددا ثم بعثناهم لنعلم أي الحزبين أحصى لما لبثوا أمدا نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى صدق الله العظيم. فاتحة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل بسم الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدتي نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقي وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات، فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله، إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبا، ولعن الله ابن مرجانا، ولعن الله عمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمرا، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد عظم مصابي بك، فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثارك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله، إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانا وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشيائكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم، وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة، وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيه عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم العن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم العن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم العنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وابدأ به أولا، ثم العن الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم العن يزيد خامسا، والعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمرا وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. سجود. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود، وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. صلوات.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخالق الأجمعين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين حبيبنا وحبيب إليه العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى طيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين ولعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum to all the brothers and sisters. May Allah accept all our prayers and the majalis for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Yesterday we spoke about the importance of these majalis and gave 4 Quranic reasons for coming to these majalis and the importance of having majlis of adha for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And it was promised to the brothers and sisters that we will speak about the concept, the philosophy of shahadat itself, and what is shahadat, and the importance of it, the status of it, the maqam, the status that a shaheed reaches with shahadat. It's an important concept because usually we don't speak about shahadat itself in lectures and other places. It's a concept that we all know, okay, a shaheed is someone that fights for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and dies in the path of Allah azza wa jal. So it's very simple and we know it's a very high maqam. But what is it exactly from the perspective of the Quran and the perspective of the ahadith, and thirdly from ziyarat? These are the 3 that we're going to mention inshallah. What is shahadat? Why is it that some of the great scholars have said that shaheed, with one night, a shaheed goes the path of 1,000 years or 100 years or 100 days, with different quotations, of a arif, of a person of spirituality, the path of spirituality. One reason that I wanted to mention quickly in the beginning is the attention that these people have to death. We have many hadith about having attention to the fact that we will die one day. You see, there's so many riwayats about going and visiting, for example, graveyards and thinking about death. There's so many riwayats about looking, it says when a man reaches 40, for them to look at their beard and look at the white, for example, hair on their beard, and see that their time is about to finish and that they don't have much time left, for them to reflect on what they've done so far. If we look at the story of shuhada in each of the wars you can see of Islam, for example, a example is the war with Iran and Iraq, and read about what kind of characteristics these people had, what kind of experiences they had. We can even see the shuhada, for example, of the people that fought with ISIS, for example, and the things that happened. And you see that these people then have no attention to anything materialistic anymore, because they feel truly that tomorrow might be it, and they have nothing else. They have nothing else tomorrow. Of course, you've seen the Munajat Amir al-Mu'mineen in Masjid-e-Kufa. On that day that it reaches, there is no Allahumma inni as'aluka al-aman yawma la yanfa'u al-mal wa la banun. No mal, no treasure, nothing that you've gathered, not even your children will help you on that day. You're just left alone with you and your a'mal. What are you going to do on that day? Sometimes, even because of our own children, we might make sins and mistake. We might get angry, or we might, to protect them, for example. But however, if we are truly on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we truly have attention to this fact that we will die one day and no one will save us, no one will save us apart from our own a'mal, our own deeds, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our deeds, because Allah will save us because of our deeds. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-aman yawma la yanfa'u al-malu wa la banun illa man ata Allahu bi qalbin salim. Unless Allah gives you the qalb salim. And this qalb salim, what is this qalb salim? It comes from your actions. In the tafsir of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the tafsir al-Mizan, you can see that there's a difference between, it says Bismillahir Rahman wa Rahim. Rahman is a barakat that's given to everyone. You don't need to work for it. Allah has gave you lungs to breathe, has gave you eyes, He's gave to other people as well. A barakat that gives to everyone. But Rahim is special. It's not given to anyone. Just how we as an insan, as a human being, we have different nafs. But however, a nafs, it's in the Quran, raziya wal marziya, is not something just given to you. You have to reach it yourself. You have to do a little harakat, a little step towards this, reaching these high levels of spirituality that brings these nufus, these nafs. It's not just a simple, oh, I was born. In this slow from alaqah or nutfa that is in the Quran, slowly we become muz'a and so on and so forth. Everyone knows here the ayah. When it becomes a khalqan akhar, when the soul has come to our bodies, nafakhtu min ruhi, when that has happened, this sayr, this slow evolving of a human being from that little embryo or the cells to this human being that is standing here with a soul, with a ruh. This is not the end goal. The rest is up to us. The rest is this khilqat of insan, this creation of mankind has to continue. But it's up to us to have those faza'il, to reach them. Even Anbiya alayhi salam, even the prophets, as the Ibrahim alayhi salam, he reached the maqam of imamat. He didn't have it from the beginning. With the trials and tribulations that he had to endure and had to go through and get A's in every single exam that he gave, slowly he reached to a place where he became ja'alakumul imama. He reached the maqam of an imam, the maqam of it, not the imam that we have, the 12 imams, because that's only 12 imams, but the maqam of imamat. We as human beings, we as insan, as Muslims, as Shi'as of Ahlul Bayt, we also need to go through this trial and also reach those maqams. And it can happen. I know some people say, okay, these are really high maqams and we cannot reach them. And if it was the case that we can't reach these maqams, then Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and all these imams in the ziyarats that we read ourselves wouldn't tell us to ask Allah for something that He will not give us in the first place. We said it yesterday in Ziyarat Ashura. Maqam mahmudan lakum indallah. Of course, Imam Hussein's maqam is much higher than the maqam of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. Well, if we are told this, that we should ask for the maqam that Imam Hussein alayhi salam has reached, then of course we can reach it. It's this attention that we have in Islam to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can reach these. Now, going back to the fazilat and the maqam means status of a shaheed. The first, we want to do a little bit of a analytic work in 3 sections. 1, the Quran, 2nd in Sunnat and Ahadith, and the thirdly in Ziyarat. The first surah is Surah Al-Imran, ayah 157. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَلَئِنْ قُتِلْتُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَوْ مُتْتُمْ لَمَغْفِرَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَحْمَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is saying that amurzish or forgiveness for a shaheed. Of course, we know some people, some shuhada, not all shuhada like Sayyid al-Shuhada, like Imam Hussein alayhi salam, like Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Some shaheeds, they might have done some mistakes, they might have committed some sins. But a shaheed, what happens is that all their sins are forgiven. with the blood that is spilled, with the effect that has happened by this shahadat, dam shuhada, the blood of shaheed that has been spilled, by just that one thing that they have done. Allah, there's the riwayat of how as well, that their sword will do shafaat for them even. This dam shuhada, it's their sins are forgiven. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will forgive their sins. Quranic reason. So they will leave this earth. Before they leave this earth, they will leave this earth mutahhar. They will leave it pak. They will leave it pure. The second reason, the second ayah, for this is the ayah after Surah Al-Imran again, 158 this time. وَلَئِن مُتُّمْ أَوْ قُتِلْتُمْ لَا إِلَى اللَّهُ يَحْشَرُونَ. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I will definitely, this is more ta'keed on the ayah before, that if someone dies in my path, in the path of trying because of me, that I will, one, of course, forgive them, and I will give them things that they wouldn't have been able to get beforehand without this shahadat, because they're doing something. Now, if we look at this very technically, brothers and sisters, we can see that we as human beings have nothing more valuable to us than our lives. One, our lives, and the lives of our loved ones. This is the most valuable thing. For example, God forbid one of us have a terminal illness, a certain illness that we can't get better of. We would spend all the money we have to be well and have this illness gone away from us. For example, let's give an example for cancer. If there was a brother here even last year that I was speaking to, and his mother had cancer, inshallah, that she's cured of it, and Allah helps them, inshallah. He was spending all of his money, all of his time going from different hospitals and in different even countries, even thinking about coming to Iran, even thinking about going to like a special hospital in America, in London, going from place to place to try to find a cure for his mother, for cancer. No time. He even left his work, got time off his work, and then he had to get more time off his work. See, we have nothing more than this life that we have. We're willing to give anything. However, when this valuable thing that we have is our lives, and we put it in line for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what do you think Allah is going to give us? Allah that has everything. He's the one that gave you this life in the first place. This is what Abu Abdullah al-Hussein did. Not only did he give his life, but he gave his life after he gave all the life of his children and his loved ones, his brother. It's very hard. It's very hard to be the last one, to see everything. Each of these are the maqam of Sayyid al-Shuhada. That's why he's called Sayyid al-Shuhada. Not just Shaheed, Sayyid al-Shuhada, Salar al-Shuhada. There's also a riwayat that I even mentioned last year of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, that all the shuhada even do qibtah towards him. Not jealousy, because jealousy is hisadat, but qibtah is a good jealousy, as in a jealousy that I want it for that person and also want it for myself as well. That's called qibtah. We don't have it in English, so that's why I didn't say the English version. So this qibtah, all the shuhada do qibtah towards Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas because of his maqam. That in the hereafter, he has 2 wings instead of 2 arms. Now, this 2 wings is a metaphor for showing that all the levels of heaven and all the levels of the hereafter is just but a flap of a wing away for Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. It's easy for him to go to all the levels and come down and up. As in, he has a power over all of these levels of heaven. He can go here, he can go there. It shows his maqam, it shows the way that his shahadat, I mean, inshallah, we hope that we have that kind of a shahadat, but it's very unlikely for it to happen. However, that shahadat that happened for him is like no other. The maqam of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, sallallahu alayhi. Now, another ayah which is long, I'm just going to say the ayahs, is Surah Muhammad. Allah, salawat, Allah. Surah Muhammad, between ayah 4 to 6. In this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, number one, this deal that I'm making with you, because of course being a shaheed is playing with your life, is giving your life and getting in return akhirat. Saying a shaheed, number one, I promise him things that he cannot even imagine. Number one, it's not, we can't even imagine what it is, this maqam of a shaheed. And inshallah in the riwayats we'll see as well that in what kind of category Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Ahlul Bayt put a shaheed in. This is very important, the category that is mentioned in the riwayats. But this promise is being made that know that I'm giving you va'deh, this va'deh, a promise. Number one, it is mentioned in Torah, in Injil, in this ayah it's mentioned, in Torah, in Injil and in Quran. Wa alaikum salam. That if someone gives his life for me, I will do so on and so forth. So many things, are the Jannat is for them, and this is for them, and then things that you cannot even imagine. Now there is other places in the Quran that is also been mentioned. We have in Surah Baqarah where it says if you do something, if you give one grain, fi sabilillah, I will give you back 700 worth, as in of a wheat, which on each wheat is, for example, 10, and on each of those 10, 70, which is, it's supposed to be said that 700 times more. And then if you do something because of a rida'atullah, after ayah, if you do something because of the rida of Allah, not fi sabilillah, but for the rida of Allah, if you give one grain for the rida of Allah, I will give you a garden which is on a top of a hill, which all the time there is rain upon it and sun. Now, obviously to imagine this is very hard, but it's trying to explain a garden which is very green, the best thing that you could think of. I don't know, the mountains of Machu Picchu in Peru, for example. This kind of example. However, if you do something wajhullah, for the wajh of Allah, this is the third ayah. So if you do that, I do not have an example on this earth that what I will give you. When Allah stops and doesn't explain what it is because it's not explainable with this materialistic world. What is Allah going to say? When there is nothing like it, when there is nothing like it on this earth, there is no explanation. All He has to say is, it's something above all these things that you are thinking even about. Something more high, even higher. There's a story from a long time ago where in the time of Sheikh Ansari, Sheikh al-A'adham, when one of the Tullab, he was a scholar, he came to study, and after many years of studying in Najaf at that time, he wanted to go back to his own city, one of the cities in Iran, and he saw a dream. He saw a dream that he was going to, in 3 days, he was going to die and come to this garden. In that dream, he saw this garden. And it was a beautiful garden full of trees and full of, for example, different fruits. And as he wanted to pick each one up, he took one and he ate it, and again another one grew, and all those things that we've read in the Quran. And then he saw at the end of the garden, he saw a little door, and he opened the door and he went to a garden which, when he entered that garden, he thought that this garden is the garden before was nothing like this one that he's seeing now. The garden before was his own garden. Now he's entered another garden which is even more beautiful. Even in a huge difference between this garden and that garden. He asked, well, whose garden is this? And the person that was there, they said that this is the garden of Sheikh Ansari when he dies. And he looked at the garden, he went here and there, and there was another door at the end again, and he entered a third garden which was even bigger than Sheikh Ansari's garden, and it was very beautiful. It was very, and he asked, whose garden is this? He said, oh, it's this person's garden. He said the person's name, and this talibah thought, well, this person's not even an alim, he's a very simple person that I know that he's just in his house. I don't even know what he does. He just goes to for example, the bazaar, and he comes back and he does trading. Or he asked, why is it like this? He woke up, he went to Sheikh Ansari and he told him his dream, that in 3 days this will happen. Sheikh Ansari told him, go ask that why is it that this person's garden is bigger than mine and yours? It was a question. Well, these two, they've studied for years, they put their life for example, Islam and learning Islam and doing tabligh. And he went to find this person. He went to find this person and he told him his dream, and he said, why is it that for you? He said, I don't do anything. Nothing comes to mind. The only thing that comes to mind is every morning I cry for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Every morning. I cry for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein without even missing a single day. For every day I cry for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Now, there's many of each of the ayahs that is mentioned again. There's of course much tafsir that we can mention for each of the ayahs, and much explanation. However, again, there's other ayahs that talk about the prize. Another one is Surah Surah Tawbah, ayah 111. Again, saying that a big prize is awaiting for a person that is shaheed. Now, in ahadith, the second section that we wanted to mention, now the maqam of a shaheed in ahadith, it's a bit more clear because there's more room to explain. Of course, you know that the Quran it's summarized. Of course, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to say the Quran and explain, then it would be thousands of jilds, for example. There's a hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen that he said, if I do tafsir for Surah Al-Hamd, the paper that I write it on, 70 camels have to carry that. That's how much I would write. Just the tafsir of Surah Al-Hamd, Surah Fatiha. So of course, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to explain the whole thing, it will be many volumes. So it's very summarized. Now in the hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, أشرف الموت قتل الشهداء. The best death or the greatest death that you can have is the death of a shaheed, as you die as a shaheed. And honestly, if we think about this logically, we're going to die one day. If we have money, it will go one day. If we have beauty, it will go one day. Even the beauty of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam wasn't forever. Forever is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one's forever. Even the greatest human being that has ever walked on earth, Prophet Mohamad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli. Left this earth. So we know that everyone is bound to leave this earth at one time. Now, would we want genuinely to leave this earth at an old age, while we're sick and we cannot get up, and all these different things that you already know, with difficulty? And old age is not the main thing that I wanted to mention, because you can be shaheed and your age can be older. I mean, in that state where you cannot get up anymore and it's difficult for you to even pray, and you're on your bed in the last moments. Would you want to go like that, or would you want to go in terms of a shaheed, where those things don't happen to you anymore? And all these other hadith about that you don't feel the pain of the first night of your burial, and they don't come ask you questions anymore. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein will answer the questions for you. You yourself, inshallah, will mention, you yourself will be one of those people that will do shafa'at for other people if you're a shaheed. All these faza'il that I can have because of giving one simple thing. It's the most valuable thing that I have in terms of materialistically. But it's simple. It's a life that Allah Himself has given me, and I'm just giving it back. It's honestly a very good deal. What we're trying to do here is for all the brothers and sisters to understand that one of the most important things we should even pray about is have the tawfiq of being a shaheed. This is why in so many of these different wars, people would cry to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, please bestow upon me this grace of shahadat. They wanted to be shaheed. They wanted to be a shaheed. This maqam of shahadat is not given to just anyone. Another hadith from Imam Reza alayhi salam, salawat Allah. Imam Reza alayhi salam says, أول من يدخل الجنة شهيد وعبد مملوك. The first person, the first group to reach heaven, to reach Jannat, is a shaheed. Now, this first we can explain it in terms of rutbatan, or in terms of time, in terms of categories, in terms of this as in first, saying the first levels of heaven, because they're in the group of shaheeds. Or we can say no, it's in terms of time. Now, in the other version, if we don't see it as time, it's better, because of course the hereafter world is not materialistic, and materialistic things are bound by time. If we don't have matter and we don't have materialistic things, it's not very wise philosophically to look at it in terms of time. So awwalan means the maqam is the first of these maqam. They have the first, they're in the first group of reaching heaven. Not in terms of time, in terms of the hierarchy. If we put these into categories, they're in the first, they're in the awwal, in the first group. Another riwayat from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, Salathatun yash'una ila Allahi yawm al-qiyamah. The first people of the groups, the first three groups that can do shafa'at, three groups that can do shafa'at for the people are: one, al-anbiya, thumma al-ulama, thumma al-shuhada. See, they've put shaheed in the category of anbiya and ulama. Of course, we know that there's different riwayats. They say that shaheeds can do 70, said they can do shafa'at for 70. Some people say 70 means as in a lot, maybe even more. They've said like the ulama, and by ulama we mean big ulama like Ayatollah, for example, Ayatollah Bahjat, Allama Tabatabai, these great Sheikh Ansari. They can do shafa'at of like 1,000, even more maybe. And of course anbiya. And anbiya, obviously the messengers. This, of course, it entails the imams as well. They've put shaheed in the category of anbiya and ulama. This is not a joke anymore. A shaheed. See, for example, for a person to become like Allama Tabatabai, first of all, anbiya, it's closed. No one can become a nabi anymore. Khatamun Nabiyyin came, it's gone. The second category that someone can become is ulama. You have to be like Allama or Ayatollah Bahjat, study for many years, go through difficulties, live with very little money, and so on and so forth, if you make it. And the third group, which is easier, which you might even go much further than so many of ulama, is a shaheed. You deal your one thing that you have, your life, which is bound to end one day. It's one thing that you hold valuable, however it is bound to end at one time, whether it be today, tomorrow. There was a brother in the Masjid in Finland this time. He came to me and he was from Iraq. He said that his brother, which was only 23, 24, he woke up one day, he came downstairs to eat, and he dropped on the floor at the age of 23, 24. I said to him, okay, well, what happened? Why did that happen? He said, we don't know. I said, well, did you not take him? He said, we took him to the doctors. They said, maybe it was a heart attack. But he said, I don't know, the Iraqi brothers have to say, he said, in Iraq, when they don't know something, they say it was a heart attack. We don't know, honestly, why. He just dropped. And this does happen. So many of other people that I know, maybe The brothers and sisters know that they sleep, they don't wake up. So the life that you are holding on to, which is bound to end one day, whether it be today, tomorrow, we don't know when our lives are going to end. You're making that deal for a life that is forever. Jannat is forever. And not a normal life, a life that is much better than here. And you're guaranteed this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that it's my ahd. I'm doing promise to you that I will give you this when you give your life for me. If you die in my path. Now, later on we want to speak about how we can be a shaheed. Shaheed, we have a shaheed that of course dies in the battlefield, but we have other shaheeds as well. For example, in the riwayats we have, if a man goes and works for their family, and they have this intention that they're working for their family, for the rizā of Allah, they're going every day, and on this path to his work, he dies, he's counted as a shaheed. Or other things, other a'mal that you can do, and in that moment, if you die, you have a death of a shaheed. Now, in terms of ahkam, of course, it's different. For example, a shaheed that dies in the battlefield, of course, is different in terms of ahkam. But in terms of spirituality, we don't know. In terms of ahkam, of course, they don't need for example, they don't need a kafan, they don't need to do ghusl mayyit for them, you don't need to, all these things are not needed anymore. As we know, for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, we didn't do. But in terms of spiritually, we don't know. Because it's for the iman, as we said yesterday, the iman and the attention that person has to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now there's many hadith that we can mention, but we'll pass through it quickly. And in the third section that we wanted to mention is the maqam of shaheed in ziyarat. In the ziyarat, brothers and sisters, we see that they say, wa alaikum salam, Assalamu alayka yawma wildati yawma tamutu wa yawma yab'athu hayyan. Brothers and sisters, number one, a shaheed, we say salam to shaheeds in ziyarat. And hayyan, that they live forever. It's not a death that we say, oh, this shaheed, they died. No, not only did they they are still alive, not only that, but they even bring other people with themselves alive. Alive, we don't mean just by walking, and the ones that we did in biology, Mrs. Green, that if they move and they, reproduce, and that means that they're alive. No, we mean alive in terms of heart, if their heart is alive. A shaheed, what a shaheed does, it brings the people's hearts alive. Not only are they alive, but they bring people's hearts alive. When you hear these stories of shuhada, it brings for example, let's Haj Qasim Sulaimani, Mahdi Muhandis. When we hear about these stories and how they lived their life and what the things that they did, these shuhada, they even bring inspiration to us, to the way that we should live our lives. The philosophy that they left behind, the way that they lived their lives, the attention to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala they had, the importance they saw in Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. This salam that we do, salam in its essence is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Khutbah Qadir, that Qadir just passed by in the month before, in the Khutbah Qadir, the Prophet says, and please, brothers and sisters, the Khutbah Qadir, go read the translation. It's very important. As Shias, that I've seen in many places that we as Shias haven't even read Khutbah Qadir. Khutbah Qadir is extremely important to read through it. It's not this one section of Man Kuntu Mawla Fa'ada Ali Mawla. It's not this one section. There's many sections. The Prophet speaks about Imam Zaman alayhi salam. It speaks about the 12 Imams. It speaks about munafiqeen, that there was some munafiqeen in that section, in that area. The Prophet says that I want to give you a risala. I want to balligh ma unzil ilayk. I want to tell you some things, and then some people within you are not happy with this. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to me, don't worry, say your message. It's very specific, very specific. There's 11 sections in Khutbah Qadir. 11 subjects that have been mentioned. One of the most important ones is even about Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Allah, salawat, Allah. Now in this khutbah, salam, it says salam is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. True salam is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, when someone becomes the same material, and material we don't mean this materialistically, but in the same wavelength as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they become salam as well. This salamat is given to them as well. So the Ahl Bayt of course have this in abundance. But when you become a shaheed and you give your life in the path of shahadat for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happens is that you get a piece of this salamat as well. Anyone that has this salam is assalamu alayk. We say assalamu alayk ya Abu Abdullah, assalamu alayk ya Ali ibn Musa Rida. It's because of course they have this in abundance, that's for sure. But if we want to also have this, is either if we become shaheeds, awliya ilahi, as from the awliya of Allah, if we want to become a shaheed, or in the awliya, ilahi means of course the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we want to become his friends, we have to have this friendship. Friendship is a give and take. What are you going to give in return for all the things Allah was giving you? Even if we think about this very specifically, this shahada that is being given to you is also, this shahada itself is not something that you are giving Allah. It's all, again, Allah is giving you. No matter what you do, still Allah is giving you something. That's more technical. Now, if it happens that this shahadat happens for any of us, still there is a hierarchy in this. Is that in that time of shahadat, how much iman do you have? It comes back to the first lecture. The attention to Allah you have. While you're doing it, for what reason are you doing? How much ma'rifat do you have towards this? And how did you even get there? Someone like Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, of course, is a different story. For Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, he went through problems after losing his son and his other son, losing his brother in the way that he lost them as well, his companions. Also a shahadat that didn't happen in the battlefield. This is what I mean. This didn't happen. It's not only in the battlefield, which tonight is for him, for Muslim ibn Aqil. His shahadat was basically being executed for being in the haqq, being in the right path. Inshallah, may we also be like Muslim ibn Aqil and die because we went for the message for our Mawla, for our Imam. That those people that by just their tongues they said, "Oh Imam, come to us and help us," but their actions and the money of Yazid made them say another thing. Well, may inshallah we not be one of them. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah. Who is this lonely stranger walking these dark alleys? By Allah, his fragrance reminds me of Ali. Ali ibn Abi Talib has told Muslim how he would go. Do you know who this stranger is? He's the messenger of Hussein, the messenger of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. The people of Kufa have sent a letter calling to Imam Hussein. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein sent Muslim to see if they were sincere. Brothers and sisters, it's important to see if we are sincere, if on this path we are sincere. Inshallah, we are not like the people of Kufa. We have to dig deep in ourselves, brothers and sisters. That what would we do? Small actions in our lives show the true colors of how we are. Inshallah, we are not like the people of Kufa, where our tongues say one thing, but our actions pierce the Imam like arrows. Let's learn loyalty from this stranger, deserted and alone, so far from home, yet his heart a single cry. My master is Hussein. In that moment, his face but a smile. Muslim knew that in his heart he has one thing that all these people watching him don't have. It's the Hussein, but a worry. Muslim Naqli had one worry in his head. In his mind he had one worry that was more painful for him than for them killing him, and that was Hussein needs to know that these people are not faithful. Yet in his heart he yearns for Hussein. Every lover yearns to resemble his beloved. How much in those final moments Muslim resembled Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. How does he resemble, you ask? On those final moments, Muslim was circled by enemies like Hussein. It is narrated that Muslim was thirsty like Hussein. However, there is a difference. On Darul Imara, he was allowed to finish his sentence. But for Al-Husayn, it was not so. In the middle of his sentence, Shimr put the sword on his throat. It was not the same for Abu Abdullah al-Husayn. When he looked as they attacked the tents, leaning on his spear, shouting to the soldiers, I'm not finished, Hussein. Everyone together, Hussein, Jana, Hussein, the peace of my heart, Hussein,
the love of my life. سيعلم الذين أي منقلب ينقلبون باسمك الأعظم أجل الأكرم بك يا الله يا الله يا الله.
محمد وعلى محمد صلوات.
مجانين 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 يا لايم بالله خلينا يا لايم بالله خلينا عشقنا مو عشق عابر عشق ما صاير وداير على السحقه بالحفر قلبنا معاشر ونينا رفعنا بكل شبر رايه لا طمو دموع وقرايه لا بس جاد مشاية طريق الحب يودينا طريق الحب يودينا خدم عد بابا ابو اليمة كبيرة عدنا هل نعمل بشر سلطان بالخدمة ابو اليمة يعلينا ابو اليمة يعلينا عزيز الزهرة منعوفة وحق عباس وشفوفه يعيش بكل نبض بينا العشق ربالهم علته نوعا نتخلى أبد هيهات للذلة نموت إقبال والينا مجانين 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 يا لايم بالله خلينا أفلحوا صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
وآل محمد. كثروا من الصلوات. أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. حياتنا حسين مماتنا حسين. ريبيت. حياتنا حسين مماتنا حسين. حياتنا حسين مماتنا حسين. ما كتبت الشعر في أروقة القصور طالب الأجور عندما تنفجر الدماء أو تثور تكتب السطور تقلع السجادة الحمراء من الجذور عندما تفور ثمن الحرية الحمراء دم النحور في مدى العصور. أنت واي وخط ممانع لم تكن للطواغيت خاضع. حياتنا حسين مماتنا حسين. حياتنا حسين مماتنا حسين. زمجر الصوت من الطف كما الرعيد والصدى يعيد وعلى قيثارة النحر مع الوريد هتف الشهيد قائلا كلا وكلا لك يا يزيد لست كالعبيد، ورمى الحديد يوم الطف بالحديد واعتلى المشي. قلت كلا وكلا أمية إنني لا أبيع القضية. قلت كلا وكلا أمية إنني لا أبيع القضية. حياتنا حسين حياتنا حسين مماتنا حسين. مطلق أنت فلا تعرفك القيود لا ولا اللحود، فمحوت الموت من خارطة الوجود. يشهد الخلود تارة تكون في الجنوب كالرعود، تلهم الصمود تارة تكون كف طفل إذ تعود، ترجم الجنود. أنت في الروح والقلب حاضر كل وقت كبث مباشر. أنت في الروح والقلب حاضر كل وقت كبث مباشر. حياتنا حسين مماتنا حسين. حياتنا حسين مماتنا حسين. حياتنا حسين. سقط الفن وأحرى بك أن تكون سيد الفنون، وهوى المسرح أرضا والممثلون عنك عاجزون. ما على مصرع إبداعك مبدعون في مدى القرون، إن إبداعك لا تدركه العيون لا ولا الظنون. أنت أخرجت فيلم الشهادة ثم أتقنت فن القيادة. أنت أخرجت فيلم الشهادة ثم أتقنت فن القيادة. حياتنا حسين مماتنا حسين. حياتنا حسين
مماتنا حسين. حياتنا حسين مماتنا حسين. صلوات الله محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، يا وصي الحسن والخلف الحجة، أيها المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا. إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله. اشفع لنا اشفع لنا. Say again, يا وجيها يا وجيها. چو گیسوی تو من در پیچ و تابم یا ابن زهرا، چرا یک شب نمی آیی به خوابم یا ابن زهرا. حبیب منی طبیب منی، بیا دورت بگردم بیا دورت بگردم. یا ابن الحسن یا ابن الحسن، يا ابن الحسن 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 صلوات. السلام عليك يا مسلم ابن أغيل يا باب الحوائج. مسلم پسر عقیل سردار سپاه آزاد سفیر دولت ثار الله. روز عرفه به زیر خنجر می گفت جانم به فدات یا ابا عبدالله. حسین جان حسین جان louder please. حسین جان حسین جان. به یاد حرم باصفای حضرت مسلم ابن عقیل باب الحوائج. دöremi dört taraf alıp döremi dört taraf alıp atlı piyade ya Hüseyin atlı piyade ya Hüseyin. Ekber yolla yanime Ekber yolla yanime Kufede yal guzam Hüseyin Kufede yal guzam Hüseyin. Hüseyin 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 Hüseyin. Everybody please. Hüseyin 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 Hüseyin. Ekber'e men gurya gidim Kufe'de men gona gidim. Hürmetim olmadı benim Hürmetim olmadı benim. Kiselerinde dürdür Kiselerinde dürdür. Kıymetim olmadı benim Kıymetim olmadı benim. Verdiler su içem veli Verdiler su içem veli. Kısmetim olmadı benim Kısmetim olmadı benim. Hüseyin 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 again. Hüseyin 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 Hüseyin. Ya Hüseyin sarallah ya Aba Abdullah. Ya Hüseyin sarallah ya Aba Abdullah. Ya Hüseyin Ya Hüseyin sarallah ya Aba Abdullah. Ya Hüseyin sarallah ya Aba Abdullah. Ya Seyyidi ya Seyyidi ya Seyyidi ya sarallah ya Seyyidi ya Seyyidi ya Seyyidi ya sarallah ya Seyyidi ya Seyyidi ya Seyyidi ya sarallah ya Seyyidi ya. التماس دعا. روی دارالاماره میشوم کشته بی وفایی. پاره قلب زهرا کجایی؟ مسلمت شد فدایی مسلمت شد فدایی. کاش نامه های مسلم را تو نخوانی ای آقا، سوی کوفه نیایی، سوی کوفه نیایی. یا سیدی یا سیدی یا سیدی یا سار الله، یا سیدی یا کوفیان حسین جان بغض حیدر گرفتن به سینه، میکشند بر تو شمشیر کینه. ای نگار مدینه، ای نگار مدینه. وای کودکی در گهواره، روی او چون مهپاره، هرمله در کمینه، هرمله در کمینه. یا سیدی یا سیدی یا سیدی یا سار الله، یا یا سار الله. از بلندای کوفه میدهم ای حبیبم سلامت، هستی من شده نذر نامت، هستم آقا غلامت، هستم آقا غلامت. آه هر کس اینجا مهمان است، قسمتش سنگ باران است. رأس زینب سلامت، رأس زینب سلامت. یا سیدی یا سیدی یا سیدی یا سار الله، یا سیدی یا
سیدی یا سار الله، سار الله.
صلوات.
ہے کربلا 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 ہے کربلا ہے کربلا کربلا ہے کربلا 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 ہے जिथे उजाड़ गए, जिथे उजाड़ गए दोवें भेड़ ते फिरा है करबला करबला
کربلا
है
کربلا
है करबला करबला उस वीरान जंगल दाना में जिथ को सो गया शहन शाहे वफा है करबला करबला
کربلا کربلا
करबला 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 है करबला करबला
کربلا
कैदी थी कचली शाम नू जहां, कैदी थी कचली शाम नू जहां, कर गई मातम दी दुआ करबला करबला है करबला
کربلا 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 کربلا.
सलवात. मुस्लिम गरीब का मातम बपा हुआ, मुस्लिम
غریب کا ماتم بپا ہوا اسلام پہ پسرے عقیل اسلام پہ پسرے عقیل فدا ہوا ہے پسرے عقیل فدا ہوا ایک عالم غریبی کا بیٹے پاس نہیں ہے ایک عالم غریبی کا بیٹے پاس نہیں کس حال میں آخری کس حال میں آخری سجدہ ادا کیا ہے مسلم میں غریب کا ماتم ہے بپا ہوا ہے کسر زیاد سے لعینوں نے گرایا ہے کسر زیاد سے لعینوں نے گرایا نام حسین نام حسین تھا لبوں پہ سجا ہے لبوں پہ سجا مسلم غریب کا ماتم ہے بپا ہوا ہے مسلم غریب کا ماتم ہے بپا ہوا ہر آنکھیں شکبار ہر ایک دل سو گوار ہے ہر آنکھیں اشکبار ہے ہر ایک دل سوگ ہوارے دل شاد ہے خون سے دل شاد نے خون سے ہے یہ نوحہ لکھا یہ نوحہ لکھا صلوات پر علیکم میں یوں مقتول دا واقعہ پڑھنا او جندی لاش بازار پھرائی گئی جندہ سارے کپ کے ٹنگیا دار ہمارا وچ شہر دے عید منائی جاندی جوڑی بے دردی نال او من دریا تے کوہائی گئی وہ جاندی بیوہ رول کے آن وچ شہر لاہور دے دفان کرائی صلوات پر علیہ
We don't have time, brothers and sisters. Thank you for attending. We repeat the body language of Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam saying, "Oh my cousin, oh my Lord. Sayyidi Mawla Hussain, Sayyidi Mawla Hussain, Sayyidi Mawla Hussain, Sayyidi Mawla Hussain, Sayyidi Mawla Hussain. قهرمان عشق در چاه بلا افتاده است کار مسلم وای دست اشقیا افتاده است سیدی مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین اشک جاری بر رخش شرح غمی پنهان دهد اشک جاری بر رخش شرح غمی پنهان دهد گوشه غربت به یا ذکر بلا افتاده است سیدی مولا حسین سیدی
مولا
حسین
سیدی مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین
باغ شد مرداب و گلها نیزه و شمشیر و شد باغ شد گلها و باغ شد مرداب و گلها نیزه و شمشیر شد قاصد کرب و بلایی از نوا افتاده است سیدی
مولا حسین
سیدی مولا حسین سیدی
مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین
سرسر پیمان گزارش روی دار افتاده است سرسر پیمان گزارش روی دار افتاده است دل سر و کارش به خلقی بی وفا افتاده است سیدی
مولا حسین
سیدی مولا حسین سیدی
مولا حسین
سیدی مولا حسین گلچینان که از هر بام با سنگش زدند گلچینان که از هر بام با سنگش زدند این گل توباست از شاخ جدا افتاده است این گل توباست از شاخ جدا افتاده است سیدی
مولا
سیدی
مولا حسین
سیدی
مولا حسین سیدی
مولا حسین دست مهمان بستن و با کام عطشان کشتنش دست مهمان بستن و با کام عطشان کشتنش از کجا در کوفه این رسم و خطا افتاده است از کجا در کوفه این رسم و خطا افتاده است سیدی مولا
حسین
سیدی مولا حسین سیدی
مولا حسین
سیدی مولا
حسین
نامه های دعوت کوفه به جز نیرنگ و نیست نامه های دعوت کوفه به جز نیرنگ و نیست بد مرامی بد مرامی بد دلی بد مرامی بد دلی در کوفه جا افتاده است بد مرامی بد دلی در کوفه جا افتاده است سیدی مولا حسین سیدی
مولا حسین
سیدی مولا حسین سیدی
مولا حسین
کار دلهاشان به نیرنگ و فنا افتاده است کار دلهاشان به نیرنگ و فنا افتاده است کار لبهاشان به لعن و ناسزا افتاده است کار لبهاشان به لعن و ناسزا افتاده است سیدی
مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین
نه شما من یاد سیدی مولا حسین یمیدی مولا حسین دی مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین چشمه هاشان خائن و آینه ناپاکی است چشمه هاشان خائن و آینه ناپاکی است وای از چشمی که از شرم و حیا افتاده است وای از چشمی که از شرم و حیا افتاده است سیدی مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین سیدی مولا حسین
صلوات I've got only a few minutes for azan. Towards the Qibla, please. ابا صالح یا امام زمان هر کجا رفتی یاد ما هم باش ابا صالح یا امام زمان هر کجا رفتی یاد ما هم باش. نجف رفتی، کاظمین رفتی، کربلا رفتی، یاد ما هم باش. مدینه رفتی به پابوس قبر پیغمبر مادرت زهرا، به دیدار قبر مخفی از کوچه ها رفتی، یاد ما هم باش. بغل کردی قبر مادر را، جای ما همو را زیارت کن، به دیدار قبر بی شمع مجتبی رفتی، یاد ما هم باش. شب جمعه یکنی شبی، شب جمعه کربلا رفتی، یاد ما هم کن چون زدی بوسه. شب جمعه کربلا رفتی، یاد ما هم کن چون زدی بوسه. کنار قبر ابوالفضل با وفا رفتی، یاد ما هم باش. کنار قبر ابوالفضل با وفا رفتی، یاد ما هم باش. تو را جان مادرت زهرا، تو را جان مادرت زهرا، ابا صالح التماس دعا. صلی الله علیک یا غریب الوطن، یا ابا عبدالله. صلوات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة، وليا وحافظا وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. صلوات.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أشهد أن
محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا أمير المؤمنين وأولاده المعصومين بالحق حجج الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن علي ولي الله أشهد أن علي ولي الله إلى الصلاح إلى الصلاح حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد محمد رسول